touch these edges and melt away all these hard ridges that we don't want to have. Same on this side. And now we're ready to insert the eyes. So I'm going to create the eyes as a separate piece. So I have already prepared an empty piece with a different resolution, therefore the eyes, oh, it's now the same resolution, right, because of the surface. But like that, I now have the possibility of giving the eyes a different color, or if I'd like to later on, I can always combine them into the lizard itself, depending on what kind of object I would like to create later on. And of course, this also gives me the freedom of changing the size and shape of the eye opening if I don't like it like that. I could now, for example, reselect the lizard body itself and use the tuck tool. Let's make that smaller. And just tuck parts of the eye into shape to fit them as I would like to have it. Let's now move over to the next piece. I'm going to open a file, and while it's opening, I'm going to show you in the PDF what I'm going to be doing. So this is leg inflated, open, not going to save this. So the next part after the texturing, embossing has been done is of course carving out the eye, smoothing the eye, inserting a new eye, and we'll move on to the legs. The file I've opened now is the legs already inflated, and we're going to do these steps by now cleaning and shaping the leg. So let's again zoom into here. So again, this is a basic 2D profile that has been inflated. And of course the hands look very thick at the moment. I could now use the smoothing tool to melt away, or I'm going to use now the smudge tool. The smudge tool is similar to the carving tool, but it's more like smearing real world clay with your hands. And so it's a mixture of smoothing and carving. So I'm just going to use that and slightly touch the surface to push the hands and fingers into shape. Same thing, of course, for the upper side of the hand, for the thumbs. Not sure if lizards have thumbs. And of course, the palm. Just going to touch into the center and therefore create the shape for the palm. A little more on the fingers. Like that, I can also melt it into the roundness that I would like to have. And a little more over here. So something like that. To add more structure on top, I stick to the smudge tool. I'll just make it a little smaller. I'm going to use that to add more detail on the hand itself. Even though you now see the rough edges that I'm creating during the process of modeling, that's not a big issue because I have so many different tools in here. Sometimes I explain this as modeling with a chainsaw and then just using the smoothing tool to clean out the rough edges again that have been created. So I still have the structure in there, but it doesn't look too rough anymore. Okay, I'm just going to stick to that like it is. And again, I'm going to use the tuck tool to shape the arm. Of course, it's also possible to modify the interface, so I've assigned some shortcuts to the tuck tool, because that's one of the tools that I'm going to use quite often. Whoops, that was way too much, looks a bit more like Popeye. So let's just clear that again and redo it. Another good feature about working in the digital world, you have the ability to undo and also save in between steps if something went wrong in between. So I'm going to just tuck this into shape, roughly like that. Now I would like to add more structure on the arm to make it blend in to the rest of the body a little better. This case, I'm not going to use any of these emboss tools. I'm going to use the emboss area tool. Let's first click apply, have that calculated, activate this tool. So the emboss area enables me to paint surfaces and then emboss the painted area. So I'm going to undo that, clean that, but not only by painting, also have the possibility of using patterns. Any black and white image that you have can be used. Of course also colored images, but the black and white information is being used for the embossing. Therefore, of course, it's more controllable for you if you already have the black and white information. Therefore, you're absolutely sure which part are going to be embossed. The white parts and the black parts just stay down. In an image like that, you're not quite sure which are the bright parts and the dark parts. This image now sticks on front of my pen. I'm now able to position that in space, touch the surface and lean on the surface. So I'm going to make the fall off very small, like to 0. Check if the size is okay. Let's make it a little smaller, something like that, and just start embossing or stamping this pattern on the lizard. Always try to match up with the images that are already on there, and I could always, of course, go back and forth erasing parts of it and stamping parts newly. But for this presentation, I'm just going to go through there very fast. Let's add some more to the palm. Match up with the dots, like that. Preview. Okay, that looks a bit unhealthy. So let's just go to the smaller size over here. Looks way better. Apply. And the shaping of the hand has been done. Again, up front on the hand, we're able to use the smoothing tool to just blend in parts to make a nicer transition. After that has been done, of course all the same procedure is being done on all the other legs, and all these parts are then being combined into the body. So I'm going to jump over to that file, legs combined into body, open. I'm not going to save this. Jump over to the PDF. So the leg has been inflated, the leg has been shaped and tucked. Then I've embossed a pattern on the, or painted a pattern on the piece and used emboss area to create this pattern. So we're now on this page, and I'm now going to show another way of smoothing, because the way I now combine these pieces, I just melted them or just stuck them together and combined them together, but sometimes the intersection where the pieces meet is not very fine. So in this case I'm going to use the smooth area tool, which lets me draw an area. Okay, it's way too small, that's why I can't see it. Way too big, I meant. Let's give it this size. I'm just going to lean on the clay again and paint around here. Again, since I can feel the model, I don't really need to rotate it, because I feel all these parts down here, and therefore I'm sure I've been drawing directly on the edge. I'm now going to use the feathering tool in the smoothing, and as you can see on the border, this feather out my selection, and therefore if I now click on smoothing, it will do a nice transition a nice blend into the side. So let's clean that, and you can see we now have a nice transition from the main body into the arms. And of course the same thing is then going to be done with the rest of the body too. Let's jump over to the next file, where it has been combined and smoothed. Let's try to keep up on the PowerPoint or on the PDF.